Of course, one of the major features of Instagram is sharing your photos. And to do that, we're going to need to be able to access both the camera and the camera roll, or the stored images on the phone. So let's find out how to do that in this video. And I'm actually going to do that with a new project, so we don't have all the Pass stuff confusing us, because we're not using Pass at all now. We're just creating our usual single view application. I'll call it Photo Demo. We're not using core data. And I'll save that there in the desktop. All right, so our plan for this video is pretty simple. We're going to create a button, which when the user presses it, will prompt them to import an image. Here we go. So I'm not going to worry about layout or anything like that. And then we're going to have an image view, which with any luck, if everything works, will be where that photo is displayed. Okay, and I'll just change that to an aspect fit so that it looks nice when it's done. Okay, now we'll just need to create our outlets. So control drag as usual. I'll call that import image, and it's of course an action. And then I'll just call that image view. All right, so when the import image button is pressed, we want to jump into action and allow the user to grab an image from the camera or camera roll. Now to do that, we're going to have to add some delegates that we've never used before. The first one is user navigation controller delegate, because what we're doing here is actually jumping essentially to a different app. We're jumping over to either the camera or the camera roll. So we need to allow our view controller to do that, and that's what we do when we assign it the UI navigation controller delegate. And the other delegate that we need is the UI image picker controller delegate, which does more or less what you'd imagine. It allows this view controller to access an image picker, so to pick between the images that the user has already saved. So when the import image button is pressed, we're going to create a variable called image picker controller. And this is going to be equal to a UI image picker controller. So this will allow the user to choose the image. Then we need to set the image picker controller delegate to our own view controller so that the view controller can control it. Then we set the image picker controller source type, and this is going to be equal to UI image picker controller source type dot, and then we've essentially got two important values there, either camera or photo library. So choosing one will jump over to the camera, obviously, choosing the other will jump to the photo library. I'm going to use photo library here because we can't use the camera on the simulator. But if we ran this on a real device, then we could try camera and it would just import an image directly from the camera. Finally, we'll set image picker controller dot allows editing to be false. We want the image to come directly into our app. And then we want to present the image picker controller, so to allow the user to pick their image. And we do that with self.present. And we want to present the image picker controller. Animated, well, why not? And completion, we don't actually need to do anything on completion. So this is the completion of when the image picker controller is presented, and we don't need to do anything when that happens. So far, if we tap the import image button, we should see our image picker controller. What we don't have yet, of course, is any code to actually do anything with the image when it's selected by the user. And just before we run that, we do need to add an entry in info.plist, just like we did with getting the user's location, to give a reason why we want to access the user's photos. So we're going to add a row and then scroll down to privacy and look for photo library usage. There's also camera usage if you're using the camera as well. So photo library, that's photo library usage description. So it's a reason why you need to access their photos. So something like that. Obviously not quite that, but you get the idea. All right, so now if we run that, we should find that when we press the button, it jumps over to the image picker controller and allows us to choose an image from the user's camera roll. So there we go, we've got permission asked there. So click OK, and here we go. So this is the user's camera roll. Fortunately, we've got some nice pretty pictures built in to the simulator, and there we go. Now we're back to our app. Of course, what we haven't done is processed that image in any way. So let's do that part of the app now. And we do that with the method did finish picking media with info. And then we try and get the image from the info variable that's been passed here. And we do that using info and then UI image picker controller original image. There we go. So this is part of this info dictionary. It actually returns the image itself. So I'm going to use an if let image equals, just in case we have any problems. And I'm going to attempt to cast that to a UI image. And if that's successful, we're going to update the image using our image view variable. So image view dot image equals image. There we go. And we'll put a quick error message in there. Something like that, if it doesn't work out. And then the final thing we need to do is close our image picker controller. And we do that using self.dismiss, animated, why not? And completion, again, we don't need anything to happen when the image picker controller is dismissed. So let's have a look. So now we tap import image, and as before, it jumps over to photos. It doesn't ask permission this time because we've already got permission. Let's grab that nice waterfall, and there it is, right there in our app. So that's about all there is to it. That's how you grab images from the camera roll, and if you update the UI image picker controller source type to camera, it will work in exactly the same way, and you'll get the results from the camera itself. Excellent. There's one more thing to cover before we begin building our Instagram app, and that is to see how we can use spinners and alerts to let the user know what's going on within our app, give them friendly error messages, and stop them from interacting with the app when it's in the middle of doing something. And we'll do all of that in the next video.